Good morning, friends. I want to give an update on my supplement thing after I arrived at that conclusion that we are really not ingesting minerals, trace minerals, or vitamins. I don't know. I don't think vitamins, but rather trace minerals. And took it on an empty stomach and like night and day, and things have actually improved greatly with a couple of notes, right? Stipulations. Uh, in fact, my memory got better, is getting better, slowly but surely. I mean, I can really notice. My diabetes are gone. Well, again, I wasn't like officially diabetic, but that's gone. That doesn't mean, I mean, I consume a lot of sugar, right? Honey and sugar and so on. I live on that, really. And one thing I had for a long time, I do sleep on my right side and on the carpet for years now. You know, it's healthy and so on. Maybe because I have no choice, I don't know. So now, at one point, my right arm, especially around the shoulder and then the elbow, this part began to hurt, really permanent. I mean, so long I am laying it down on some surface like this at rest, right? You know, there's no pain. But if I raise it this far up, this will hurt, like really hurt. I mean, my entire arm would hurt, you know, and I devised like all kind of schemes and, you know, to relax it and rest it. And when I was at work, you know, I used to ask for this like extendable tray for the keyboard and so on, so I can lay my arm because it didn't just sting. I mean, it really hurts. I could not go farther than that. If I went as far as this, even in the shower when I want to like soak my back and so on, here, I mean, no, it really hurt. So I knew there was some damage, really. And I really arrived at one point, it's been so long, that that I decided just to live with it, you know? Excuse me. But then after this, you know, taking all the supplements on empty stomach, you know, the zinc and the iron and the magnesium and the potassium and you know, all these minerals, even though I take the 50 plus, you know, all these 50 plus different types and so on, I mix it with it. I mean, the thing I use that much, really. I mean, like probably a square inch, you know, like probably, I don't know, maybe an ounce or so. I mean, that's too much, right? But then apparently it's making a difference. All right. Now, the good news is this here has, no, I'm not making this up. It has completely healed. Now I can go this far, right? And not feel a thing. I mean, I feel my muscle, you know, being stretched and, you know, tensed and so on, but no pain. No, period. That's it. So that's that. My balance is great. My diabetes or I don't know. I mean, I'm like, sometimes it happens if I'm taking long walks and so on and so forth, but not anymore. My vision is improved. Now I go outside, walk, and I don't need those, you know, I don't need those, except here, you know. I used to use this to for reading and for my monitors. I don't use this for my monitors anymore. This is enough now. I just use it for my telephone now. That's it. You know, I use this for my telephone. And if I'm outside and it's like there's enough light, you know, ample light, intense light, you know, I won't need it. So this here is basically now I'm getting better on the. So the muscles are fine. I am getting stronger, actually. You know, I can clearly see it. You know, when I do like very intense movement and strong movement and, you know, reverse movements, I am far much better and permanently. It's not like for one day. So that empty stomach, 2 hours in the morning, you know, grind your minerals and vitamins and all these into like fine powder, and then put them into I use this glass to drink water, because if you mix them with the water will become more like milky shake, right? But then the minerals will sink immediately down below, and you're missing again. So you really have to drink it. I mean, put the powder in your mouth and then drink the water, right? Just right past it. So that's that. Doing great, just fine. Now there are a couple of stipulations. One day during Ramadan, which just finished like on the 21st, which ended on the 21st, what I used to do is take it after break, after we break the fast at dusk, right? Like it used to be like 7:30 p.m. And I would take the supplements, those fine powdered supplements, and I would still mix an aspirin with it between now and then, right? So as to thin my blood, and and I would like wait about an hour and so on, and then I eat and then go to sleep. Now, one day I did that. Now, okay, I'm not doing that every day anymore. Now it's like every other day. I'm going to stretch it a little bit longer. Now, for example, I took my supplements yesterday. I'm going to try to go as far as Friday. Why? Because a couple of things happen. When I took it at night, in the evening, 7:30, and went to sleep, I don't know, 1 a.m. or something like that, I couldn't go to sleep at that point. And then there was a very, very slight, not like real headache, but very, very slight little headache, right? And then I was between sleep and awakening, right? But next day, I didn't take any supplements, of course, and then I went to sleep like a log, like a baby. I mean, that kind of sleep I hardly had before. So I thought when you take it, probably should take it in the morning, because now that's when it's really being processed. And then now the brain, if there's toxins in the brains, aside from, insomnia, the brain, okay, here's the brain. The brain, when you go to sleep, you fall asleep right there and then, right? Like you move from consciousness to complete unconscious, like in split second. Do you remember those old airplanes when they used to switch off, like now it's all computer based, right? Touch screens and so on. The dashboard, I mean. Now, in the past, it used to be like those switch buttons, and the pilots, once they landed and stopped the airplane, they would switch all those like together, all these panel of switches, like engines, electricity, lights, you name it. Like they would go and switch it off, and that's when the airplane stopped and then safe to be approached by mechanics and so on. That's what happened. Part of our brain, a stratum, don't look for it, goes to sleep really during the day. A lot of our brain, much of our brains sleep during the day, right? But then at night, the main like dictator part that basically prioritizes everything in the body toward itself, right? If there's shortage in minerals and food, it starts depriving even the teeth, right, of minerals, of other things, and it feeds itself, because that's who we are, right? So it's really a bad dictator. I mean, like it's willing to kill some parts of the body and deprive them of these minerals, subatomic, things, in order for it to stay conscious and alive. And that part, when it goes to sleep, the other parts wake up at night, right? The majority of the brain wake up at night. Don't look for it with the infrared signature and stuff like that. You don't know how this works. And then that's when the brain, it's called deep sleep, right? I heard the word deep sleep before. That's when the brain gets rebuilt, like it's this is like taking out a locomotive or anything else out of service, and the mechanics come, they change the oil, they replace the bad parts, and that's when the other part of the brain that wakes up during that deep sleep, and then they rebuild that conscious brain and the whole entire nervous system, for that matter, right? Now, charging or arming the nervous system with materials to communications, that's not then, right? I mean, it happens then, but that also happens, I believe, during the daytime as well. When it's awake, it still consumes those compounds. I think one is called serotonin or something like that. These come from the guts, right? And then come from the guts, they build the brain as well, but in conjunction, mixed with minerals and things of the sort, right? So I'm not a doctor, but you know what I'm talking about, right? So now when the brain, after this deep sleep, which is supposed to be like 4 hours, minimum of 4 hours, the other part, or the other brain, this is not 100%, the other stratum wakes the brain up in case of danger, right? It immediately switches everything on, because that conscious brain needs to perform, right? Like in case of danger. or survive. So it's not one perfect, like once it puts it to sleep, it can't wake it up. No, no, no. So once the rebuilding process takes place, it wakes it up, switches all these buttons on. And then now we enter what's called REM sleep, right? You guys, I heard this from you. REM sleep is, and REM sleep is really basically, it's very simple. It's that conscious brain now re-establishing its control over the body slowly but surely. I'll give you an example, computer example. In those old Sun and IBM and things of those old computers, fridge size, these are no longer around. Like for example, E25000, it's like a fridge size. It has so much circuitry, so when you boot it up, you switch on the power, there's something called POST, P-O-S-T, or power on self-test. That power on self-test basically loads the firmware, and the firmware is really a program, right? Something similar to a kernel or something of the sort. And it goes for a long time. It inspects everything, right? It establishes communications with memory and inspects everything in every location in memory and CPU, and it tests and so on, and establishes the control channels, right? And then you see that on the screen, on the terminal, all those old terminals, they're screens, but they're like black and white and so on, and you connect it by a serial cable, D25 pin or something, or D9, or D25, I remember. And then you see that now it's doing like memory, now it's doing I/O cards, now it's, and so once it established everything, it made sure that this part is healthy, this part is not. If a card is not healthy, it will immediately be moved out of the kernel, right, out of its inventory of useful things. That's what the brain does during REM sleep. Really, is basically going into reestablishing all body system. Now it can do that very fast, but that's very harmful. Like in case of danger, right? It wakes up. I was thinking there are those who are in a coma, right? Don't take my advice. I'm a computer engineer. One day there was this like Mexican woman and her son, and it seemed like to me like some of those are awake. And I would try this, but ask your doctor. Ask your doctor. Bring next to them an explosion, right? Like very loud bang right next to them, and that may actually induce the brain to reconnect or something of the sort, because now it needs to wake up to danger, similar to us when we're like in deep sleep and then something explodes and then you wake up not knowing what's going on. I don't know. You can try that. I don't know. I mean, this is bullshit, right? But that may actually cause the brain to reconnect, like because now it feels danger, right? Something exploded and it wakes up to, so it may reestablish those channels again. So that's what. I noticed like 48 hours without deep sleep is problematic, right? You get incurred damage, that's it. Even though very slight, but you do. So deep sleep, that's that. Why does a cat shake its tail, especially when it's nervous? I call it a SCSI terminator, meaning it's discharging its nervous system into heat or something of the sort, right? That's why they wave and shake their tails as they're fighting, as they're nervous, and so on and so on, because now their nervous system is filled and this, like with communication compounds, right, or minerals or whatever it is, compounds, right, and that needs to be discharged. How do I know that? Well, I know that from seeing it, but it gave me an idea. Those old IBM loops, right, SCSI loops where you connected drives and so on, and they have IDs, very complex. They don't use them now anymore, right? But then the electricity in those wires, in that circuitry, needs to be discharged because you can't just keep it there, right? So what they've done is we used to have like a SCSI terminator, and we used to go to the back of the computer and stick this into the outlet, right, into that SCSI card. Or, I forgot what their names were. And that basically took all this electricity and converted it into heat, right? So it was more like a radar, right? Like a microwave. Right, so that's why a cat shakes its tails, and that's why we sometimes do that, because now we're getting rid, like we have to leak out all this excess nervous system chemicals and stuff like that. Anyways, the other point I want to make is fasting, long time fasting. I fasted a couple of times, I think 5 days or even 7 days, only distilled water, that's it, and relax and sit back and do whatever makes you really pleases you. Like if you like nature, just sit down, watch nature. You want to watch TV, you want to read. I usually read Quran and stuff like that. It kind of it's like better than a ton of medicine. If you, I don't know. I used to listen to that Peer Gynt of that Norwegian Vorak, was it? No, I forgot his name. Yeah, and this classical music, just relax, don't do a lot of work. What does that to you 5 days and or even 7 days? I did that 2 times, and 3 times, the third time was 4 days. Basically, even if you made sure all your intake, drain, food, and all is void of toxins, right? You can make sure of that. Still, the body is getting damaged because it has to function and perform functions. And then there's always damage being incurred by processing intakes, right? And then what happens, it's always getting fixed and so on. But it never had the chance to really repair it fully. Sometimes it falls short, sometimes it goes, more or less, sometimes it doesn't finish the repair job because now the next meal is coming and then. So when you sleep, when you fast for a long time, don't worry about food. I mean, like just drink water, like I said, in the morning. Basically, it's like I say, taking a locomotive inside the shop and now replacing the bad parts. And so you give the body time to repair itself, even if there are no toxins, because the body is being used. And then when you did that, you relaxed your brains and so on and slept well and just don't eat. Don't eat anything. Just drink distilled water in the morning. No coffee, no sugar, no food, nothing, just nothing. And our Prophet Muhammad used to do that. Sometimes he used to fast for days only, right? And that actually improves, the Arab part here, those Arabs, they got some brains, man. Yeah. Thank Allah they're there. They were there. Otherwise, we would be like freaking monkeys because of their brains. Now, they're not the only ones around. They had relatives. Now, I'm going to say this, and some people may get offended, they don't like Arabs. Arabs were the world, right? And people imitated them and benefited from them, whether psychologically, whether social life, anything else, And their language, actually, if you speak the formal language, makes you smarter. Their relatives actually is Northwest Europe, their ancient relatives, during the Ice Age. You don't believe me? That's true. Those old Arabs. Well, the old Arabs are gone, right? When Islam appeared on the horizon, all these tribes and Arabs and so on, they left the peninsula. Some went into India, some went to Europe, some went to Africa, some went to Asia. Yeah, their traces are there. I can prove it, right? And they were in northwestern Europe. So in the ancient days, these two people were related. Now, what's remained in Arabia is really the Bedouins, right? They were like some Bedouins. And some of those people in Arabia now are not original Arabs. They migrated into Arabia because they were so much fascinated by their language and their religion and their science and their intelligence. They realized that. So even Abraham himself knew that. That's why he took his son Ishmael and put him into Arabia, right? Even though he himself is from, like very related to, so Ishmael married to those ancient Arabs, right? And from there on, began to, swell. Their brains began to swell, and now. So back to our, and then during the day, the other stratums of the brain really go to sleep, right? Then actually, I think, in my opinion, the majority of the brain goes to sleep during the day. And that's when it gets rebuilt by minerals and so on and so forth. So that's where we are. So now, like I said, when I took that at night, I felt slight headache so apparently taking that at night, does tax your brain system, because now it must process all these minerals and so on and so on. So now I'm going to space it out, and I'm going to here. Let me show you what the sizes of what I do. Okay, so this is what I use. Old mortars, those Arab attar, they call them attar, not ben attar. Attar is the old pharmacist, right? And perfumery, and then I really ground them into into, and I get TBS, I don't know, TBS, it's a cup, quarter of a cup. So I get up to here, up one, two, like half of a quarter of a cup. So eighth of a cup, right? Eighth of a cup. Oh, tablespoon. TBS is tablespoon. So I get between 1 and 2 tablespoons out of all that mix. Now I added yesterday. I added and I went and I got me independent selenium, not which okay. Now selenium is part of the 50 plus different types, right? But in addition to that, I went and got like real selenium, and I got manganese. I heard manganese got to do something. Now I think I'm doing too much of that because last night because yesterday was the day when I took my supplement. So I added, in addition to all that, I take fish oil, potassium, you name it, right? All those minerals. So I got manganese, not magnesium, manganese. I already take the magnesium. And I got the selenium, and I also added that to the mix, right? I got a slight headache, even though I took them in the morning. I don't know, maybe before noon sometime, and still, like very, very, very slight headache. Not the one that bothers you, right? No, the one that bothers you, but not really painful. Let's put it this way. So today I'm going to do some walking. I usually walking, I think, consumes that nerve material, right? Or fuel, the arm that charged, nerves discharge. If you walk, the brain uses some of these materials, and then it discharges itself. This is like cat, moving its tail, waving its tail when it's fighting, because it discharges its nervous system. So working out, yeah, deep sleep, man, deep sleep. Deep sleep is very important. I mean, if you wake up, say, at 6 a.m., and the next day you haven't gotten any sleep at 6 a.m. in the morning, and then cancel work and try to fall asleep, that deep sleep is very important. It must rebuild that's how your nervous system gets rebuilt. So some parts of the brain goes to sleep during the day, parts goes to sleep during the night, and that's when they rebuild each other. Right? It's very sophisticated. I'm saying things you guys know much better, much more about that. But yeah, that's proven so far. If I did that before I did this supplement trick, oh, I would be so hurting now. I couldn't move it for an hour. Have a nice day, my friends, and here I'm gonna put a link here. Remember Yosemite Sam? Whoa, camel, whoa! Have fun. Spread it, man. To monopolize something like this is sickly, really. And I wouldn't mind, if somebody gave me an idea and, and he was complete opposite of what I am, I wouldn't deprive his or her people from it. No. I mean, this fundamentalist Muslim gave it to you, just spread it, man, to them too. Have a nice day, my friends.